It's a bit of a mouthful. The brand manager's guide to navigating digital disruption is actually a very complicated way of saying the future is here. Normally we talk about the future as something which is going to come, but I think never, at least I can look back to my career, never has the future, we've been so much in the future. Why do I say that? Is that when you look at any aspect of how we work, where we work, who are we as people, the way we do business, the way we transact, the way we communicate, the way we interact with media, the way we sell, the way we buy, each of those things are changing. And I don't think we completely understand still the synergistic impact of all of these things happening together. And that is what makes living today very, very interesting, both at a professional and at a personal level. Sagar, can we have the video, please? So it's a nice piece of communication. When I was a brand manager, to make a film like this would have taken us approximately 6 months. This film was made in 2 hours by an untrained person on AI and part of a workshop. So what I'm saying is that if I go back in time, and this is when I started working, computers had just started coming in. And we all got individual, the big thing was when we all got our own individual PCs. We said, wow, we were right. And then we got something called free email, which I thought was a big wow. They said, it's free. Somebody's giving away free email, because nobody gave anything away for free in those days. And it was like fantastic. And as a brand manager, my eyes really popped up when I saw PowerPoint for the first time. I know we can't live without them right now, because before that, when you made a presentation, it was approximately a 22 or 30 day exercise where you thought through your content, you wrote your content, you typed it out, or you put it on a computer, then you transferred it onto transparencies, which was also a process, and then you put it together and you had a presentation. You didn't make changes last minute. There was no way you could make changes last minute. But it used to take you 20 days. Now we do it in 15 minutes. So in the same way, I think what AI is doing for us, and as a lot of people are practicing, professionals in this room, whether at the client end or the agency end, things are changing. So today, it cost us approximately nothing to make this, except for the person's time. So how do you value that? Does this film work? We tested it. We tested these films. They're not top box, but they're not bottom either. They're somewhere in the middle. But with refinement, can it get better? Absolutely. Can people get better at doing this? Yes. So I think we're going to have a lot of productivity. We're going to have some jobs which are going to be not there, but we're going to create some new jobs. People are going to still, we were busy when we were young. I'm still busy. And I'm going to say this, we found new things to do. I'm not saying better things to do, we found new things to do. And we'll always have things to do. But productivity obviously goes up. The way we are able to do things is going to change. So the question is, who are our consumers and what are they looking for? What are the influences? So if you look at a demographic, we have many Indias living together, and each one of them is a continent in itself. Each one of them have different influences. So I was talking to somebody who's doing news on digital, and it's a new way of reading news. But there are obviously some people over here who are still going to read the newspaper, come what may. But there are going to be a lot of people who are not going to read the newspaper. So there are multiple influences, multiple ways of going about life. And if you look at, even television, which has been classically where marketers went to advertise, the number has changed. I mean, the specifics, and it's changing every day. And the way consumers look for data, the way consumers consume content is also changing. A lot of people today are, we call cord cutters. I mean, whatever you call them, how do you reach them? Even 10 years, 15 years back, to get young people was difficult through television. Today is impossible. So how do you communicate to them? How do you build your brand? It's not about just selling to them, correct? It's about how to communicate with them. How do you interact with them? So these are challenges which I think marketers are being asked. And how can you do that on scale? And how can you do it at a price which you can afford? Right. So these are open questions. I don't think anybody has complete answers, but I think we are all in the process of learning and relearning. And sometimes as a professional, you feel that, at times that you arrived, you know everything. And then all of this happens, you say, oh shit, it's you start from zero again. It's like snakes and ladders, but the game continues. And yes, and mobile does lead the way. The media is fragmented. So the other challenge is nothing delivers in totality. You can't depend on one medium, but your flexibility is enhanced. So if you're doing certain kind of things, it's a little relatively easier. But if you're trying to build a new mass brand in India, absolutely new mass brand in India, the costs are very, very high. Because television itself is so fragmented, and the medium itself is challenged in certain ways. Sales channels are also complex. When I was in sales a long time back, the only complexity we had was you had retailers and you had wholesalers. So the whole balance was, how do you manage the wholesalers in a manner that you could still sell to the retailers? And if you did that well and sustainably, your business grew. Today, you have multiple channels. Whether it's modern trade, whether it is e-commerce, whether it's social commerce, whether it's quick commerce, and various other entities which are today distributing and giving you market access in different manners. That has made the simple act of distribution, which was never that simple in a complex country like India, even more complex. Data itself is flowing in forms, and it's flowing in every day. The question is, how do you use that data? How do you put it together? How do you make sense of it? And how does a manager actually use it? Because in the end, there's no point having data if you can't use it. It's not in a usable format. It does not give you direction, insight, understanding of what's happening. So the process is internally to compile a lot of this data, to process it, and then also serve it back so that it gets used itself is a challenge in itself. The other thing is this, these green bars you see is for a very daily use item, which normally went into what we used to call the grocery list. कि महीने के शुरू में ग्रोसरी लिस्ट बनती थी, उस पर दुकानदार के पास जाते थे एंड महीने का सामान खरीदा जाता था. This is the daily sales. I really can't really say today, and this is obviously in e-commerce, right? That how are consumers buying? The consumers are buying when they need it. So is this the end of that grocery list? Yes and no. Is it the end of pantry loading? Because we used to stock stuff in the pantry because we didn't want to run out. That was at least when we were growing up, even now. Because we can't not. But today the new consumer may not think like that, may not behave like that. And today we have some data also which is showing us that things are moving, things are changing, and they're changing across. So data is the new weapon. Our ability to craft data, to use data, to elicit data is interesting. Previously, a lot of time was spent on what is happening. Today, I think the shift is happening to why is it happening? What are the underlying reasons of this phenomena? Because that's the shift, and that understanding itself, I think, is a step deeper into the way we look at things. Also, the mobile phone gives us unique capabilities and advantages on how to interact with consumers itself. I'll just show you a little clip on. Can you just play the clip and then maybe I'll talk about it? So anyone of you want to take the test can take it right now, right? The thing is that forget demographics, forget sociographics. We can now, sitting anywhere, we know the consumer's skin. Because we know the consumer's skin, we can recommend, we can share the concerns that these are the issues or these are the opportunities for your skincare regimen. We can recommend the right products, and we can also deliver the right products. It's all on your phone. Simple. This is something which was science fiction even 5 years back. But today, we can interact with consumers in a meaningful manner. And this is consumer data at its purest. And you're building this data because consumers come and retest also. So we can also see what happens to consumers after that. Right? In the ideal condition, guys, some of you who are taking the test, do it in where there is light. Otherwise, what does happen is that you might get a bad score because it's a little dark inside the room. You should have ambient light at least because your skin scores might go down because of that. But it gives you things from issues with your pores and so many other things which normally you would not get. So previously skincare was about dry skin and normal skin and so on and so forth, oily skin, that's about it. The language of the consumer has changed. There's a much more informed consumer. They are being trained with so many people trying to do different things. So when they buy also, they're looking for more specificity, they're looking for more sharpness, they're looking for solutions which work. And the proof of the solution also is that, hey, my score should go up the next time I go back. because I've used and done whatever you have said. So the proof of the pudding is not just the advertising or the brand, but also the performance. So this is something which marketeers, brands are dealing with, because we are dealing with the new age consumer who is informed, who knows much more than we ever knew when we bought, who looks at recommendations, who look at reviews. And if I talk to consumers, it's almost like, I mean, they have figured it out. They said, hey, I don't want to go and look at reviews on a platform. I'll go and look at reviews when I go, and maybe I'll go to Google and see it. I will not see it on maybe an Amazon, because I don't know where the review comes from. So the consumers are trained, and they are getting better and better at what they are doing. So there is a lot happening as far as this space is concerned. So if you look at the new normal, we're talking about immediacy, we're talking about omni-channel, we're talking about personalization, we're talking about social, we're also talking about self-publishing, right? Just look at the phone is obviously central to all of that. And if you look at all these girls, I mean, look at the confidence, the body language, the way they, they look at things and they go about. The other thing also is that they all look alike because, yes, it's AI, right? But that's a different matter. But actually all the pictures on the presentation are AI, but it's not very complicated today. Everybody can do it, even I can do it. So that's just how simple it's become, right? So this is the new normal, this is the new way to market, where you're using multiple mediums, you're using multiple ways of doing things, you're using multiple delivery mechanisms to grow your business, to grow your brand, to interact with consumers, and do so many other things which was never possible before. But the question is it enough to win? This is all, is it enough? See, when you look at, in the end, we are human beings, and human beings as people, we interact with each other. And brands and businesses exist in society. So there's a larger piece or our existence which is outside maybe the narrow confines of our work. And this is something we must understand. So one is that we all, culture, drives belongingness. And can we have the video, please? purpose also creates stronger brands and creates both relevance and differentiation. Can we have this video also, please? Yeah.
Teens in India are flooding social media with dark memes about their mental health, with the topic of mental illness still being taboo and therapy being unaffordable. They use these bleak memes to share their feelings and to cope.
I use video as a channel for me to express myself. I send memes to my friends.
e4m, a brand that stands for joy for living, decided to help. Presenting Talking Memes. On World Mental Health Day, for the first time ever, these tiny, static images started moving and talking to its viewers.
Memes. Good for laughs. But when it comes to your mental health, they're not good enough. Try counseling. It is a better way to get better.
Feel good with e4m. Just log on or call. Register yourself and speak to qualified therapists. An initiative by e4m in association with Minds Foundation. The Talking Memes urge teens to talk to therapists, something way more helpful than sharing memes.
Memes. Memes. They're good to laugh with. आज जब आपके mental health की start analysis. Counseling training. It's the better way to feel better.
Feel good with e4m. Partnering with Minds Foundation, a mental health NGO, we offer therapy at affordable prices. Popular celebrities, top influencers and memers came along and shared these talking memes. Our talking memes encourage teens to talk to experts for help and, more importantly, started a much-needed conversation about mental health in society.
And inclusivity and sustainability is at the heart of, I think, most brands. And we have, some work which happens in that area on the Sapola, under the Savlon Swasth India mission. I think it's running a little behind, so I'll just move ahead. But product still remains king. See, whatever may be, in the end, consumers still consume the product. Right. And the other thing we must remember, the cost of acquisition is going up. So it becomes even more necessary that when consumers try your product, they stay with it. Whatever your product be, the product needs to be very, very good. And sticky price points in country like India, whether it's 10 rupees or 20 rupees, are important. Rupees 1 is important. And even in digital media, the AOV is around $500, right? Which really works. So I think these still are relevant. But when you look at any brand, you're creating a new brand. For example, we have a brand called Nimail, which is a neem-based floor cleaner, right? It is focused on people with children or pets, so pet parents or parents. And that is their most valuable cohort. So you need to still keep developing the brand. You have to they also need endorsement from bodies saying that, hey, you are natural, whether it is a World Neem Organization or a Green Pro saying it is sustainable, or you need to have continuous engagement. So, I mean, there is no easy way out, whether it is a digital world or a non-digital world. You still need to keep engaging with, you still need to target the right people. The way to communicate may have changed. You may not be using television, you might be using other means. But the work still has to be sharp. The work still has to be meaningful. And you need to be very clear why your value of your brand appeals to somebody or the other. Always remember, the brand is always bigger than the sum of its total parts. And that's what I think the intangibles are a little larger than the tangibles. So The only piece of advice I have for all of you who are brand managers is that this is the Roman god Janus. So, like him, one step, one eye on the future, one eye on the past, and your feet very much in the present. And that's the way I think as brand we have to build our brands, because there's so much happening. It's such an interesting time. And as long as you are brave, you're creative, I think you can create a business and a brand in today's age. So thank you very much. You've been a great audience, and it was wonderful talking to all of you.